couple of good days of preparation, and certainly the Alcorn game was good as well. I thought we got some things done there. We're going to go play a good Missouri team that's playing well right now, and we're excited about that opportunity, and just having watched their series at Kentucky, they're a really solid club that can do a lot of things well. So hopefully go up there and play well, because this is a time of year where you need to start playing well.
What have you seen from your team this week, kind of responding from last weekend?
Yeah, I think just a little more electricity on our feet, a little bit, a lot more hustle type things that you might not necessarily notice unless you're really paying close attention. I think, again, just an overall awareness of every pitch, instead of trying to hope things are going to go your way because you had a great year last year. You don't hope. You go out there and you make it happen. You make one-pitch adjustments at the plate and on the mound, and you communicate, and you bust it on and off the field. You get to first base the right way. So I think all of that stuff is a little bit better. I think we went through a little bit of a lull, and of course, as I mentioned several times, that's my responsibility, and I think we together have captured the essence of some of the things that we need to do better. None of those things necessarily guarantee victory. But you go to sleep at night knowing that you did everything you possibly could to win a baseball game. So that's important.
Butch said the other night that he doesn't expect Preston back this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think Preston will be able to pitch again. Hopefully he can rehab to the extent to where, maybe we can get him back later on in the season. But yeah, that's a tough blow to our pitching staff, because that was a guy who was pitching well. We've lost several guys, all different things and all, uncontrollable. It's just, one of those things that has happened. So, we got to make the best of it. Every team has injuries, so that's not an excuse. But, when it's to your pitching staff and you feel like that's the strength of your club, I think, that's going to affect us a little bit different than other people. So, but yeah, we need some guys to step up. And, anytime a door closes on one player, another door should open for another, and hopefully, that's what will happen.
Why do you like Trevor on Friday and maybe Ross on Saturday?
It's a series of things. Number one, it really depends on how much rest they've had. Ross has really operated well on Saturdays for a variety of reasons. I think hitters are a little different on Friday night than they are on Saturday. I think that Ross is definitely a creature of habit. I'm not saying he can't pitch well on a Friday, but I am going to say that moving him up was probably something that I really fought and did not want to do. He really, I think, on Saturday makes the Sunday guy behind him better in a lot of ways. So I feel like he's had a lot of success on Saturdays, and so hopefully we'll get him right back on track with that.
If you can get through the first two games without using Woody or Bracewell, do they look at them as almost co-starters again like last week?
Yeah, and I think both those guys were really disappointed in the way they pitched last Sunday, and part of that probably has to do with the fact that they both, threw a decent amount of pitches on Tuesday, not a ton, but a decent. So we avoided that this week, got them more rest, and hopefully, on 6 days rest, they'll be able to perform like we think they can. And, going into the year, if you would have told me, you're going to have 4 guys out, and Bracewell and Woodruff aren't going to be a factor for you in the weekends, I would have said, we're going to have a tough year. We need those 2 guys, and they know it. Our fans know it. Our club knows it. Nobody's trying harder than those guys. They got to effectively pitch the location, and they got to attack. And if they do that, we're going to be just fine. If they don't do that, then we're not going to be able to play it the second half the way we want to.
Is it just those? Oh, go ahead.
Have you been back to the campus, John, of Missouri since you left?
Yeah, one time. I've been back one time, and actually a group of us were looking at facilities. Actually, when Greg Byrne was still here, I think there were 6 or 7 of us that went to look at facilities around the country, football, basketball, and baseball. And Missouri is one of the places we went to. We went to their basketball facility on the way back from somewhere else and saw all their facilities and the way, they all kind of come together. It was much different than what I remembered. But, Missouri's, one of the great athletic departments in the country. And I think it's great to have them in the SEC. And it's I mentioned this a couple times. My kids were born there. I have a degree from the University of Missouri, so that part of it's neat until we throw a pitch, and then it's we're playing another SEC weekend. That's very, very important to us.
John, I've heard Tim say that when they joined the SEC, he immediately said, "Okay, we're going to have to start doing some things differently. We're going to have to start recruiting differently." I almost assume you can verify that, having been in both leagues.
Yeah, it's. Missouri is, I'm just going to say it, to manage the baseball team at Missouri, you have to deal with some things that a lot of people in the SEC don't. One, of course, better than anybody, is weather. It's a little bit like Kentucky from that standpoint. You're managing weather. If you look at how many games they lost to weather early in the season, it's pretty amazing. So you're having to play all your games on the road. You're recruiting from climates of kids who don't have benefit of the weather. Same athletic ability, same everything, just not as much opportunity in the weather. Quite frankly, I don't, I think he was right from a facility standpoint. They were not where other schools, Big 12, SEC were. And I just think I'm a huge fan of Tim Jamison. I think he's done a remarkable job. He has taken Missouri to places in the last 10 years, 17 years that I never thought they could go. And that's a real testament to him, the way he manages that club, his work ethic, and the kind of person he is.
Is there anyone else on the Sunday, or is it kind of Ben and Brandon Woodruff as kind of the 2 guys that will probably get the...
Yeah, it really depends on who we haven't used. Certainly if you haven't used Lindgren in those first 2 games, that can be something that's really good or something that's not so good. If you haven't used him, he's definitely in the middle of that as well.
Is a starter or is coming out of the bullpen still?
Well, earlier in the ball
Okay,
game,
okay.
For sure. So, I think that, it's like everybody else in our league. Who have you used? Who have you not used? What's available to you? And, I would like to think that you'd hope that he will have pitched in one of those 2 ball games, because that could be a good thing. It could also be a good thing that he hadn't. You just have to wait and see.
Can you pitch Lingo in 2 ball games in a weekend? Do you
Sure.
feel good about
Absolutely. If it's short enough on a Friday and short enough on a Sunday, yeah, absolutely. Or if it's short enough on a Saturday, I think he can bounce back. He threw a bullpen yesterday that, he could have pitched yesterday and pitched well. I mean, he's really impressive. I mentioned this to a lot of our players during watching Lindgren's bullpen yesterday. What's the most impressive thing about him to me is not actually what's happening on the mound, which is pretty spectacular in games, but his preparation and what he's doing and his long toss and his pull downs and his strength and conditioning. I think he has really matured into, one of the very elite guys in the entire country.
Is Dakota available this weekend?
We have to wait and see. He had a little bit of back shoulder tenderness. He's been checked out and really been given a clean bill of health, but there's still some soreness there. So hopefully maybe Sunday, but we're gonna take him with us, and he's gonna rehab when he's up there, and hopefully we can get him back as well.